Senator Ossoff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Clayton, welcome. Congratulations on your nomination. You have an obligation to be honest and forthright with this committee, correct?
Yes.
And is it the case in the Juan Orlando Hernandez case that the President of the United States pardoned a man who had worked with the Sinaloa cartel to facilitate massive narco trafficking into the United States?
I don't remember the specifics of that case.
He was convicted in your district.
He was convicted.
Yeah.
We convict
Right.
a lot of people for a lot of drugs.
Convicted of narco trafficking, yes?
I believe so.
No, so at massive scale, yes?
Well, you're telling me what I know. That's kind of, he was, I believe, look, I'll take your word for it. He was a convicted narco trafficker.
Did the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, pardon a convicted narco trafficker?
I believe we just discussed that. The President provided a pardon, yes.
Yes or no? Did the President of the United States pardon a convicted narco trafficker?
Yes.
Who won the 2020 election?
You know, I'm not going to do this with you.
This is a job interview. We've established that you have an obligation to be honest and forthright with the committee. Yes, you do have an obligation to be honest and forthright with the committee?
Yes.
Who won the 2020 election?
Like I said, I'm not going to get into that with you.
But you do have an obligation to be honest and forthright with the committee.
Is anything that I just said not honest or forthright?
Yes, you're not being honest or forthright. Who won the 2020 election?
I think I've answered the question. We can keep doing this.
Well, we're going to keep doing it because you're not being honest and forthright.
No, I'm not going to engage in the theater.
It's a simple question, Mr. Clayton.
And I've answered
Who
it.
won the 2020 presidential election?
I've answered it.
You're here asking for the support of senators to lead America's intelligence community. We've established that you have an obligation to be honest and forthright with this committee and with the American public, but you refuse to answer a simple matter of fact about the 2020 election. Is that right?
No, that's not right.
Then answer the question. Who won the 2020 election?
I have answered the question.
Answer it. What is your answer?
I've given you my answer.
What is your answer? You refuse to answer a basic question about who won a presidential election, but you asked to lead America's intelligence community? Isn't it humiliating to be unable to answer this question, to have to indulge the president's delusions? We know, you know, everybody in this room knows the truthful answer to that question. Why can you not give it?
I think I gave you the answer.
Are you aware that Director Gabbard was present at the Fulton County raid in Georgia earlier this year?
You discussed that with me yesterday in your office.
Are you aware that Director Gabbard was present at the Fulton County raid earlier this year?
You brought it to me, my attention.
What is going on here? You've said at the beginning of this you have an obligation to be honest and forthright with the committee. I'm asking a very simple question. Are you aware that Director Gabbard was present at the Fulton County raid earlier this year? Yes or no? Are you aware?
I was.
You won't answer that question either.
I just said I was made aware of it by you yesterday.
The first time you learned that Director Gabbard was present at that raid was in my office yesterday?
It was the first time that, in my recollection, I've thought about it recently. Now, was I aware of it before?
What?
You brought it to my attention yesterday.
Okay.
I had not thought.
So you had not known
I
until...
had not thought about it until you brought it to my attention yesterday.
Your answers lack credibility. Your testimony lacks credibility. You're being evasive and you're not being candid or forthright. And everybody across the country is going to watch this and know that. Are you aware that former Director Gabbard testified that her presence at the raid was, quote, requested by the president?
I'm not aware of that until now.
Okay, you are now aware of that.
Yeah.
Are you aware that members of this committee are already probing Director Gabbard's potential misconduct in this matter?
No, I'm not privy to your probe into.
Are you aware that the General Counsel and Deputy General Counsel of your office have already provided testimony to this committee regarding this matter?
No.
If the White House Chief of Staff or the President asks you to travel somewhere across the United States and oversee the execution of a domestic search warrant on a sensitive election facility, will you do it? Is that appropriate? Is that appropriate for the Director of National Intelligence?
That's a hypothetical.
We all know it's not appropriate.
Senator
for the
Ossoff, your
Director of
time has
National
expired.
Intelligence. Will you answer the question?
Your time has expired.
Will you give him the opportunity to answer the question? Is this not material right now, sir? Is it appropriate for the Director of National Intelligence to oversee the execution of domestic search warrants at sensitive election facilities? Yes or no?
I think you're asking me, as you just said in your first comment to me.
Yes or no, is it appropriate?
No? Look, you are asking me to comment on a matter that you just said was under investigation.
No, I'm asking you.
Okay, Senator Ossoff, your time is expired.
Disqualifying.
Vice Chairman, do you have anything to add? Senator King, I did not recognize you. I recognize the Vice Chairman. Senator King, I did not recognize you. I recognize the Vice Chairman.
Mr. Vice Chairman, will you make the point?
I will make a point. I want to make a couple points. One, I strongly disagree with you about the issue of drug trafficking being more important at this point than the threat of China or Russia. But that you're going to.
I'm sorry. Please. He asked me for the most ones. I did not rank them in order.
Well,
I did not rank them in order.
Well, let me just. I want to make one point, then I want to come back to the point that my colleagues have been making. Because this is an area that you're familiar with, in terms of Securities and Exchange Commission work. We are working diligently on a bill to create a set of laws around digital assets. From your work at the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District, from your focus on drug trafficking, is it not the case that many drug traffickers use digital assets to transfer funds?
Yes.
Is it not the case, as we try to work through this legislation to try to make sure there are barriers and restrictions, that we should not grant this new industry, which has a huge potential? I'm one of the few that says we got to put some rules here, at least on this side of the aisle, that we should not open up huge new loopholes that would allow self-dealing, adjacent transactions, with your focus on drug trafficking, making sure that we don't create additional holes for a tool that has already been abused. Would that not be important from a national security standpoint?
Senator, having AML, KYC, anti-money laundering, know your customer across the financial service sector and financial flows is essential to national security.
And should you be confirmed, this is going to be happening very quickly, one way or the other. And I want to make sure that those are you would be able to weigh in. I just want to say this. I've known Mr. Clayton for some time. I've worked with him. I worked with him closely when he was at the SEC. But I am bitterly disappointed. And I don't, we've tried umpteen different ways to give you the ability to just acknowledge that Joe Biden was the president. It was fairly and duly elected.
I've acknowledged, Senator, that Joe Biden was the president. I've acknowledged that.
And fairly and duly elected.
And fairly and duly elected under our process.
Well, I'll have follow-up questions. I also have to say, as someone who has spent an enormous amount of time on this election interference issue, that it strains credibility. And I trust you. I know you. But it strains credibility to think that you were not aware of Director Gabbard's intervention in the domestic election activities in Fulton County, and that was subject of a great deal of consternation and review. Again, maybe the framing of the Senator's question you didn't appreciate, but you know, even if you weren't aware, in preparation for this hearing, I would have thought, hey, we got to be ready for the Gabbard questions.
Yeah, look, I don't want to. It just wasn't something that was on my mind before the preparation for this hearing.
The idea that you acknowledged in your opening comments, and to me, that the role of the DNI is to look at foreign malign influence. It is outward looking. It is not to participate in domestic law enforcement. on a case that I believe in. You can have a completely different view of this, and my Republican colleagues probably do, but on a case of relitigating a 2020 election activity in Georgia. To say that that wasn't on your agenda of an issue that would be asked.
No, after Senator Ossoff raised it, it was. And to be clear, the ODNI's role is principally outside the United States. Intelligence community role is principally outside the United States.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.